Greetings, YouTube. The Doctor is in. Dr. Urias Papers here, coming at you with another commentary on Dungeons and Dragons. And today we are going to be talking about one of the new spells from Forgotten Realms, Heroes of Faerun. This spell is Doomtide. It is a pretty awesome spell. We're going to give it a pretty high grade. So we're going to go over the spell. We're going to go over all the classes that go along with it. The subclasses, I think, are best with it. Some combos with classes and other abilities and things. So lots to go over, lots to talk about. Stay tuned and don't go away. All right, before we begin, don't forget to hit that subscribe button. If you like this video, hit the like button. If you have any questions or comments, please leave a question or a comment. Don't forget to hit that notification bell, and don't forget to share this video. All right, Doomtide. Again, it is from Forgotten Realms, Heroes of the Faerun, which had a bunch of new spells. We're going over all those spells. It is a 4th level spell that requires concentration. It has a casting time of 1 action, a range of 120 feet. It is a 20-foot radius sphere. It has verbal, somatic, material components, and we don't really care about the material component because it is not worth anything. It has a duration of 1 minute with concentration, of course. It is School of Conjuration, and it requires a Wisdom saving throw, and it does some psychic damage. So we like a lot of things in this spell. So you create a 20-foot radius sphere of inky fog within range. This fog is magical darkness. Now, I don't want anybody to get confused about this because we're going to talk about darkness and the difference between darkness and the darkness spell, which is a bit different, and what can and cannot see in darkness. My contention is anything with dark vision can see in this darkness. So the fog is magical darkness and lasts for the duration or until a strong wind, such as the one created by a gust of wind, disperses it, ending the spell. So that's pretty cool, but there's a lot of creatures that have dark vision, so they could get around that. Each creature in the sphere, when it appears, makes a Wisdom saving throw. We like Wisdom saving throws a lot, because they're not that easy to make for most creatures. On a failed save, a creature takes 5d6 psychic damage. We like that too, because very little is resistant to psychic damage or immune to it. Now here's the kicker. So by the way, this is 17.5 points of damage on average if they fail their save. And subtracts 1 to 6 from its saving throws until the end of its next turn. Oh, that is horrid. That is horrid. DMs, take note. If you get players in this and you have a couple of spellcasters, it is not going to be great. Okay, that's on a failed save. On a successful save, a creature takes half damage, which is about 8.5. A creature also makes this save when the sphere moves into its space. If you can move it somehow, it is going to roll forward, so it will move forward into things spaces. When it enters the sphere, or when it ends its turn inside the sphere. So you cast it, sphere happens, creature has to make a save that's in it. Let's say they run out of it on their turn, so they don't end their turn in there. They failed their save, they're still going to take that penalty to saving throws until the end of their turn. Say they get out of it, and you push them right back in it. That's when they enter the sphere. They're going to take that damage again, and if they fail, they're going to take the full damage, and they're going to get that penalty to their saving throws for another round, which is awesome. You guys know I love anything that messes around with saving throws. So a creature makes this save only once per turn. The sphere moves 10 feet away from you at the start of each of your turns. This also has a casting as a circle option. It's more for flavor, in my opinion. It's not really practical for players, but it is practical for like flavor for a game with an enemy or a campaign or an adventure that you're running as a DM. So Casting this as a circle requires a minimum of 5 secondary casters, which means you need to have 6 casters to get this. In addition to the spell's usual components, you must provide a special component, a string of 3 black pearls from Pandemonium. Those are not worthless. So let me repeat that again. Those are not worthless. They seem very unique and they seem very hard to get. So that's why I'm saying that you're really not going to be casting this with having to have 6 casters. That's hard enough, but with having 6 casters and a string of black pearls from Pandemonium makes it even harder. And they're consumed too, so you get rid of them. The spell's range increases to 1 mile, and its duration increases until dispelled. No concentration required. So it just makes this cloud that's 20-foot radius that's constantly moving forward appear, and it's there until it gets dispelled or until a gust of wind hits it. Let's be honest, that's not hard to do. Here it is right here, gust of wind right there. So the spell ends early if any caster who participated in the casting contributes to another casting of Doomtide. So this would be something like a group of evil casters are going to get together and they want to wipe out a castle or something. So they drop this in front of the castle and it moves through. It's got this kind of 10 Commandments vibe to it. So it says, when the spell is cast, each secondary caster may expend a 3rd level or higher spell. Otherwise, the spell fails. All right. So what grade are we going to give this? I like the spell. It is a 4th level spell. We are going to give this spell an A because I like the damage it can do, which is per turn. And if you set things up correctly, you can do this damage over and over and over again. But it subtracts from saving throws. And it doesn't say that it's not cumulative. Let me point that out. So if you could get something to go in and out of this on multiple turns, it's going to be taking a massive penalty to its saving throws. And when you stack this penalty to saving throws up with other penalties to saving throws, plus other spells that your spellcasters are going to be casting or other effects, it is nasty. It is, because you can end combats with a lot of things that force saving throws. So we're going to be giving this an A. Now, one thing I do want to talk about is this darkness. So let's talk about that real quick. All right, let's talk about the darkness that comes from Doomtide. So it says the fog is magical darkness. Magical darkness doesn't really mean anything at all. It's just darkness. That's all it is. So let's talk about dark vision. Here is the entry in the player's handbook about dark vision. It says, if you have dark vision, you can see in dim light within a specified range. Most things have dark vision of 60 feet, as if it were bright light, and in darkness within that range as if it were dim light. And dim light really has its own special thing too, where things are lightly obscured, which we go to another thing here, and that means we have disadvantage on perception checks to see something. So that's really all it is. And so if you have dark vision, you can see in darkness. And Doomtide is darkness. Just because they put the word magical in front of it doesn't mean anything. It just means it's still darkness. Now, if we look at the darkness spell, and I know that's where everybody's going, if we look at the darkness spell, for the duration, magical darkness spreads from a point within range and fills a 15-foot radius sphere. Dark vision cannot see through it. That sentence right there makes this particular thing, that things with dark vision cannot see in darkness, it's this darkness only. It's only the darkness from the spell because of the way that it is worded here. The fact that dark vision cannot see within the darkness spell is intrinsic only to that spell. It is not intrinsic to the fact that they say magical darkness here. Has nothing to do with that. So Doomtide does make magical darkness, but it is still darkness, and it is still darkness that follows these rules for dark vision. So things with dark vision will be able to see through it, but they will not be able to see in the darkness spell. However, another thing I want to point out is Devil Sight from the Warlock, which allows you to see normally in dim light and darkness, both magical and non-magical, within 120 feet of yourself. I don't know why they put this word magical in here. I have no idea why they did that. But Devil Sight is not dark vision. So for the purposes of darkness, the spell, Devil Sight is a completely different kind of sight other than dark vision. So dark vision cannot see in darkness, but it should be able to see through Doomtide. So I just wanted to clear that up. All right, now let's talk about some classes I think go well with this. Because this spell, it's a little off. It's usable by bards, clerics, and warlocks. So there's no sorcerers and wizards in here at all. Just bards, clerics, and warlocks. So let's talk about that. All right, flavor-wise, I really like the undead warlock to go along with this. I think it goes great with it. I always have liked this particular form of warlock. You get the form of dread, which causes frightening, which if something is inside the Doomtide, it can't move forward, so it has to move back, and it's going to have a hard time getting out. And you get Grave Touch and a few other things, but the big one is this one right here, Form of Dread. And you're probably going to have Devil Sight anyway if you don't already have Dark Vision, so you'll be able to see things inside. And if you are a Warlock and you have Repelling Eldritch Blast, you can push things back into the Doomtide, which is great. Now, you do have to be at least a 7th level Warlock to get this, but I do want to talk about the other class, which is the Bard. I don't really have a good answer for the Cleric for this. If you have any answers for the Cleric, leave a comment below and let me know what you think about which Cleric goes well with this. But I think for Bards, the College of Eloquence Bard with Unsettling Words, you know I love Unsettling Words, where as a bonus action you can spend one of your bardic inspirations and you can make a creature subtract from its saving throw. If they're in the Doomtide and they fail their save, which you can apply this before you cast Doomtide, so they fail their save to the Doomtide and they take even more of a penalty on all their saving throws after that, which is nasty. So you can force them to fail and you can keep them inside of it. Now, even though this is not a sorcerer spell, okay, it is not a sorcerer spell, you can mix and match Bard and Warlock with sorcerers, which go great because they're all charisma classes. I do like the Wild Magic Sorcerer because I think that the Bend Luck ability goes very well. This is another subtractor off of saving throws there. But I do think that's great. Now, one thing I do want to point out with the Sorcerer is the heightened spell feature. When you cast a spell that forces a creature to make a saving throw, it does not say when you cast a sorcerer spell. It just says when you cast a spell. You can expend 2 sorcery points to give one target the spell disadvantage on saves against the spell. So, with that, all we need is 2 levels of sorcerer. That gives us some points according to the table down here. Here's the points. We get some spell points and we get mana magic at 2nd level. So we only need 2 points, and at 3rd level we're getting 3 points. So if we take 3 levels of sorcerer and then the rest is a warlock, or we take 3 levels as a sorcerer and the rest is bard, we can cast this spell and we can stack all this stuff up, put heightened on it. We can use Tides of Bend Luck for that as well from the Wild Sorcerer. So all kinds of shenanigans can happen with this. So all in all, I think this is a great spell. I really think it's worth it. I really like it. I'm going to give it an A. You can force things to take damage over and over and over again. You can force them to have really bad saving throws. And if you've got other casters in your party who can team up, the spell is just awesome. All right, that is the video I have for everybody. I hope everybody enjoyed, and I will catch everybody later.